Ladies and gentlemen, it is Johnny TCG back with another video. Today I've got a spicy Gecko Moria deck list for you. This list is brought to us by THELUFFYTCG, a YouTuber, a Twitch streamer, a Treasure Cup finalist now. He came in second out of hundreds of people with this deck list. It does not look like every other Gecko deck list. I actually have not really seen people ever playing Gecko without Ice Age, without Brook. These are some of the biggest cards in the deck, and this deck list isn't running it. When I saw that, I thought I had to give it a try. We'll do a quick deck profile. He speaks to the overall strategy a little bit more in his video, so I would recommend checking it out below. But basically, this deck is kind of like Blue Dofi, where we're really trying to get bodies on the board as quick as possible. We're trying to go wide, and then we're trying to get card advantage. Where this deck differs from Blue Dofi is that we also have the ability of one, trash recursion straight to the field with our leader ability, and what is most important compared to Blue Dofi, the 8-drop Gecko Moria. This is really one of the best cards in the game, and it completely sets this deck apart from others. It is the bread and butter. We are going to just keep bringing cards back from the trash with Gecko. Even if Gecko dies, we can play out a hog back to get a Gecko back. It's an infinite loop. It's amazing. Without this card, I don't know how good this deck would be, so we'll see if they ban it in the upcoming weeks. But right now I'm having a ton of fun with this deck. Real quick, Kuzan, if it stays on board, great. I usually play it off Gecko if I do play it at all. The +1 draw power is solid. If you told me you didn't run this, I wouldn't call you crazy. Sakazuki, 6-drop, KO of 5 or less. You kill plenty of 5-drop kids or starter deck queens with this. Absolutely amazing card. Whatever you're throwing in the trash, you can probably get back. Tsuru, solid 2k for the most part. Sometimes you'll use it to put a card in range of Absalom. Borsellino, solid blocker. I see some people not running this as much nowadays. I definitely prefer to use Rebecca for the most part in this deck, but I think that Borsellino's still strong here as well. Isho, I think you can maybe trim this down to 2. We'll see at the end of this video how I feel. Great to play to trash some of your opponent's cards from hand, but if you have Gecko and Isho in your hand, for the most part, I feel like playing Gecko is a better bet. So it's a little bit of a judgment call. Brand new, Searcher, even if you whiff, you are putting cards in your trash, which is great for leader ability and Gecko. Sabo, solid blocker, preventing your cards from getting KO'd by effects. You need this in the Black Mirror match for sure. Rebecca is one of the MVPs of the deck. You can use her as a blocker, and even when she gets KO'd, you can bring her back with Gecko, and then use her to bring back other cards, and then even when she dies, you could hypothetically bring her back again with another Gecko. The way she's able to recur cards in the trash, play cards out, sometimes you want to throw out a brand new or Hina off of her ability. Absolutely awesome card. If you told me you play 4 of these, I would not call you crazy. Absalom, just a beast, especially early game. Without Ice Ages, he's usually not hitting anything too high, but that's alright. He does what he needs to do. Gecko, one of the best cards in the game. What else is there to say? Hogback is crucial in this deck because you're going to want to be able to bring back Geckos when you accidentally mill them. Sindri, great turn 1 play. Get some cards into your trash and bring them back with leader ability. Have some cards ready for Gecko. Perona is one of the best turn 2 plays in the entire game. Using leader ability, you're going to swing 6,000 into their leader and then play out Perona from the trash, making them trash 1 card from hand, because most of the time they will be at 5 cards in hand. And not only do they have to worry about a 6,000 swing into their leader, they also have to trash a card. They're getting absolutely no value out of it. And then finally we have Hina. Great body to play off of Rebecca. That's what I use it for the most part. Sometimes on 6th Dan, you can combo this with Absalom from the trash, which is very nice. A nifty little combo there. This deck is all about getting cards from trash, going wide, establishing a board, and putting pressure on your opponent. It definitely is not as much focused on the KOing via cost reduction side of things like a lot of other Gecko lists are. And you might be skeptical of it, but I'm telling you, it is saucy. Before we get into the gameplay, I am going to give away a custom leader card. Boom. It's going to be a custom Boa Hancock leader card. It looks really cool in person. We've got the holographic going on. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is leave a like and a comment. If this video gets 20 likes in the first 24 hours, I will send this to one US-based commenter completely free. Actually, scratch that. I just heard from my wife. She said 20 isn't enough. If this video does not get 25 likes in the first 24 hours, she is making me sleep outside in the shed. Don't let me sleep in the shed. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment. Tell me I'm cringe. Tell me I'm based. It doesn't matter. It's not professionally made. I don't own the artwork. It is from the One Piece Treasure Cruise app. I'm not selling this. I'm not claiming to be the artist. Just a fun little giveaway if you are interested. Alright, that's enough yapping for me. Roll the gameplay. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, first game of the night against Black Yellow Luffy from Starter Deck 13, one of the best leaders in the current meta. I get to choose the turn order, and I'm going to choose to go second. We like to see a brand new to play on turn 1. Even though it's not the most consistent hit, it does allow us to place cards in our trash, which we love with this leader. No brand new, but we do have the Sanji play, being able to put the top 5 cards of our deck into our trash, have something to use leader ability on. We do see a Gecko, which we will be able to pull back to our hand with Hogback, which is nice. They're going to start by swinging 8,000 at us, and we're just going to take this. There is no reason to counter out of an attack so early. We get the Perona, which we like to see. Now, we got 4 Dawn to work with. I think I'm just going to play Hogback, just so I can bring back that Gecko. I will definitely want to use that later. Hogback requires me to put 2 cards to the bottom of my deck. There aren't any great options here, so maybe it was a little early of me to play the Hogback, but I just wanted to establish the body and then also get that Gecko back to hand. Hopefully I'll be able to go consecutive Geckos later on once I hit 8 and 10 Dawn. They've got 5 Dawn to work with. They're going to play out the Hiyori to take the top card of their life and replace it with something else. We see the baby Sabo, which means that their big Sabo is what they put on the top of their life. Now they're going to be up to 7,000 power as a leader. We could see another 8,000 power swing, and we would just eat that as well. They cycle some cards with Sabo's ability and swing 8,000. We are just going to let this hit, slowly building up more cards in hand. We actually top deck another Gecko, so now we've got 3, which is a little silly, but we'll take it. It's better than none. I'm going to go with the Rebecca play and then play off Hina off of Rebecca's ability. This is just to kind of go a little wide, and Hina can basically act as another blocker. They are on 7 Dawn for 3. They're going to play Ivankov blocker, trash the top card of their life, and they're going to put another 5 cost on the top. They end up playing another blocker Sabo. Not ideal, but we are not afraid yet. We are going to start playing some big bodies next turn. All of their characters are now immune from KO. We don't love that. They're going to swing 9,000 at us. I think this would be a good time to block with Rebecca because we can just play it out with one of our Geckos later. So I decide to use their Rebecca as a blocker. They do swing 6,000 into my Hina, and I am going to let the Hina go. I am surprised they swung with one of their blocker Sabos. Back to them, they're at 9 Dawn. Now would be a good time for a Gecko Moria for them, even though they won't be able to use leader ability. They do need to get 2 cards off the top of their life in order to use it. I'm going to block out of their 9,000 power swing with Rebecca. Easy choice, I can bring it back next turn with a Gecko if I want. They're going to don up on a Sabo and swing for 9,000, which feels like another trap. They do have a lot of blockers on board. 8,000 from this other Sabo. I am going to start countering out of this. I don't want to go too low in life. They could make themselves a 9,000 power leader before I know it. And also they have some rush aces, which they haven't used yet. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on them. I'm going to swing 9,000 into one of their Sabos. I am not going to swing into life. I am going to force them to do something to take those last two cards off the top. I'm checking my trash, seeing if there's any plays I like. I am going to swing 6,000 into a Sabo with Dr. Hogback, my boy. They're debating on whether or not to counter it. They do, which they're going down very low in cards in hand. I'll swing at the other Sabo with 6,000 from Gecko. That is fine with me. They just keep trashing cards for counter. I'll play another Gecko right here. I am going to go with, I think, Rebecca as another blocker. And then there's nothing really to play rested from Gecko. With Rebecca, I am going to take the Perona just as another 2k to have. And then I'm going to play the Hina out rested off Rebecca's ability. This allows me to go wide and potentially swing more next turn. Now I've got two Geckos on board, a Dr. Hogback, a Hina. I'm feeling pretty good. They're going to swing 10,000 into my Gecko. I strongly disagree with this play. I have a ton of cards in hand. It would be very unlikely for me not to have 2k and counter to get rid of it. I am going to block out of it with Rebecca just to throw it back in my trash and tempt them to swing again into it. They do with one of their Sabos. That catches me off guard as well. And now they just pass. They must have been bricked up. Not being able to use their leader ability yet this game is really throwing them off. I swing 9,000 into the rested Sabo and they let it go. I decided to play the Isho and just pass. It was tempting to swing into their life, but I might as well develop another big body. I'm feeling really confident right now. They're going to play 5-drop Ace from starter deck 13 that will be able to rush at me. Not too afraid of it. They're going to go 9,000 into my Gecko. I do have the 1k to counter out of that. If we can stay alive with all my characters on field this turn, it should be GG's. Now they're going to swing 8 at life. I just take that because it does not really matter. I debate on whether or not I need to use leader ability combined with Absalom to maybe KO the Sabo blocker first, but then I just realized I have so many swings on board. They have so little cards in hand. This shouldn't be too hard to get lethal. Swinging 7,000 with Hina, and they're going to counter out of that. They go down to 2 cards in hand, 1 life left. This is just a numbers game basically, unless maybe they get a base trigger or some other shenanigans. This should be GG's. And now I'll just swing big with Isho, and we got it. Even if they had the counter, we had another swing with leader. Next up, we got a game against Boa Hancock, the one, the only. I am going to be going second. I do not have a brand new to play, but I am going to play Sindri, fill up that trash a little bit. We do see a Hina and a Perona. We'd like to see both. Perona early on in the game to play off leader ability is so good. Against Boa, who likes to not keep a lot of cards in hand, it's not maybe the best, but we're getting those cards out of hand with no value for them, which is big. They'd rather keep cards out of hand by countering with them, and we are going to force them to get no value out of them. I'm going to take their first hit. I have no fear. And then they play down the Dofi blocker. This will be no big deal. I decide I'm going to swing 7, force them to, if they want to counter out of this hit, they'll have to give me 2 cards. Then I'll play Perona, which will force them to give me 1 card. As someone who is new to playing Gecko, the turn 2 Perona off leader ability play is probably my absolute favorite combo in this deck so far. Really sets the opponent behind. They're going to swing for 6. I'm going to 2k out of that with Perona. And not only did that counter me out of an attack, I will be able to use the Perona Perona's effect again this turn if they take this swing from my Perona. So if they do, they're getting 5 cards back in hand, and that's when I strike again with another Perona for my trash. No trigger, so you know what that means. We're going to swing 6 into their leader and use leader ability to play out the Perona. The 3 Don I left up is for that Sindri to swing 5,000 into leader with. They take that hit again, and we are going to go 5,000 with Sindri. They've got a counter out of this one. And they give me the 2K. Starting their turn, they're going to swing 4,000 with Pudding into my Sindri. And then bottom deck both of my Peronas with Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. It can't be helped. We'll take the 5,000 swing, and we get the Kuzan off the top of our life. We're going to start the turn by swinging 5,000 in their 4,000 powered Pudding. That should be an easy give. Now you know what time it is. It's time for the 8-drop Gecko. We are going to play it out. Bring back Rebecca. Bring back brand new Rested. We whiff off the brand new Search, but that's okay. And then off of Rebecca, we are going to take Hina and then play Hina out. It's rested, so it could die this turn, but it's also a little bit of a bait that they have to address it. Either with a Gravity Blade, a Boa, something they've got to do, or else it'll just be a free swing next turn. For 7 down, they do go with the Gravity Blade Raging Tiger to bottom deck my Rebecca and my Hina. Then they're going to swing 5 to get rid of my brand new. This is absolutely fine for me. All they established this turn was a 1-drop Kaya and a little hand filtering. Now we've got a 8 cost Gecko on board, and we've got plenty of options in our hand. Debating on whether to use leader ability or not. I could go Kuzan and Sakazuki here. I could go Rebecca into Hina. I've got a lot of different options, so I'm trying to look through the trash, consider them all. I'm going to start my turn by swinging 7 with leader and not use leader ability. They're going to take that hit. That is great news. Now we're going to be able to swing 9,000 with Gecko. They may think we have another Gecko coming here. Unfortunately, we don't, but we will have another pretty good play if I say so myself. They're going to give me 2 2Ks and a 1K to get out of that 9,000 power swing. I'm going to go Kuzan into Rebecca, and I am debating on what to draw from trash. I take the Perona because it is a 2K, and I do already have a Hina in my hand that I can play out for free. Now we've got a wide board. It is a good time to be alive. They start to swing at my Hina, but the writing's on the wall. They concede. They probably would have threw down the 10-drop Kaido there, drawn a bunch of cards. I don't think I could have went for lethal this turn, but I would have gotten it probably the next turn. I think this game was pretty firmly in my grasp. All right, next game up we have against Red Yellow Sabo, starter deck 13. I'm going to choose to go second. We do have a pretty solid hand. I'm going to play out the brand new turn 1 and take the Isho, which might be an interesting play later this game. For 3 down, they're going to play down the Zoro, swing 5 at me. I know I'll take this, and might block out of this next one. I don't want to go too far down in life. They probably run some of the Wano characters like Nekomamushi and Hikanojo that trigger when I'm at 3 life, so I'm going to not go down so low just yet. With 4 Don, I'm going to use leader ability, swing 7 into their Zoro, and play Perona to make them trash a card. We are in a strong position. I'm happy we were able to get that Zoro off the board. If we weren't, it would have been a problem. They're going to play down the EBO1 Yamato, swing 6 at us, which we will counter out of. My 5,000 swing from Perona hits. My 5,000 swing from Gecko does not hit. I'm going to play out the 6-cost Sakazuki to get that Yamato off the board. I am not trying to let them keep any characters on the board for long. 8,000 at me. I have to eat this one. That is alright. We get the Dr. Hog back. I am itching for that Gecko play on 8 Dawn. They do play the Kikinojo, which is annoying. I am debating KOing it with Sakazuki. Even though it gives them a life, at least it will kind of put them at bay for a moment. I bet this deck runs a lot of rush cards. They counter out of my 7,000 power swing, and now I'm going to swing 5,000 with Leader. They counter out of that one too. They're down to 2 cards in hand, which is pretty nice. It's Gecko time. We're going to play the Hogback and the brand new. Start with the brand new first, and we will take the Hina off that. Dr. Hogback, we will put back a Sindri and then a other Sindri. It doesn't really matter too much. And take the Gecko back to our hand to play next turn. The Absalom wouldn't have been a terrible choice either. It would have given me some extra counter, which you never know when I may need, so couldn't go wrong either way. They're going to start with 8,000 from Kikinojo. I'm going to take that. I did not really have much of a choice there. For 4 Dawn, they're going to play Kid and Killer. That is not ideal, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to use Leader ability to put Kikinojo on the top of their life and power up Kid and Killer, swing 10,000 at me. I am not in a great position. Now they're going to swing 7,000 at me. I don't know if it matters too much whether or not I counter out of this. I may need to go for lethal next turn. I'm going to counter out of it anyway. And they just concede. While I did have lethal there, you don't know what your opponent's going to do. Moral of the story is I think they should have solved this one out. I probably would have had it, but why not see it out a bit? GG's. Our next game is against Jewelry Bonney. And we get to choose the turn order. We are going to go second. We are looking for the brand new, but we will happily take a Sindri. We do have a pretty good hand. We have the Gecko, we have a Perona, we have a Hina. Just trashed some cards with Sindri. I am feeling pretty solid. They're going to swing 7,000 at me. I am just going to take this. They have 1 Dawn up. They might play Bonney or Baby 5. And they don't, which is interesting. They must not have it because of course they would if they did. I'm just going to swing 5. I'm not going to use Leader ability just because I have the Perona. And I'm just going to play that out straight from my hand. It isn't worth the trashing a card and giving Dawn to my Leader because I know they're probably going to take their first hit anyway, which they did. So that's great news. 6,000 into Sindri. Okay, you can have it. That I feel like should have been at life. But alas, we continue. I'm checking out my trash, seeing if there's anything I want to play. We could go Hina into Absalom, which would be diabolical. That's what we're going to do. We're going to hard play the Hina, swing 6,000 with Leader ability, trash brand new, and then play out an Absalom from trash using Leader ability. And we are going to be able to KO that Cavendish, which is awesome. That Cavendish, if it can stay on the board, is an absolute menace to us. So we are trying to get it off as soon as possible. They do counter out of that 6,000 swing. That's fine by me. Now we've got a board almost full of full bodies at this point, and they've got nothing. 5,000 into my Perona. I'm debating on whether or not I should counter out of this, and I decide to counter out of it just because I'm going to have a couple different swings on board, and that's just going to be great. And with their Leader ability, I'm basically always going to have 1 less swing than I thought I would, and so that's why I can use the extra characters on board. 5,000 with Leader. We know what turn it is. 8 Dawn. They're going to take that hit. Now I'm going to swing 5,000 with Hina. They're going to counter out of that for 1,000. I'm not going to swing with the Absalom because they will just get a free block with Basil Hawkins. Off the Gecko, I'm going to play the Borsalino blocker. Not the most high value Gecko turn ever, but we did establish an 8 cost 9,000 power body and the 4 cost 5,000 power body of Borsalino, so that is good in my book. They're going to play down another Basil Hawkins and a Rosinante blocker. I am looking for a Absalom and trash, so I can use Leader ability and KO the Rosinante blocker. Get it out of here so I can actually try to get the Basil Hawkins off board. Sending a couple cards to trash, KOing the Rosinante. They did unfortunately rest my Gecko Moria, so I won't be swinging with it this turn, but that is fine. I've got plenty of other characters to swing with. Debating on how much I want to swing, and I'm going to go 7,000 with Absalom. They take that. I've got 4 Dawn left to work with. I could swing big with Hina. I could also just hard play the Perona and have them trash a card from hand. I end up doing a 9,000 power swing from Hina, thinking that if they block with Basil Hawkins, they will likely let it die. Unfortunately, they do use the 0 cost event, but it did get rid of a Eustace Captain Kidd from their hand, and I wonder if they would have liked to play that this turn. 5,000 into my Hina. I could free block this. I could counter out of this if I want to. I got a couple different options. I decide I'm going to free block it. If they want to swing with the Hawkins, they can go ahead and do that. I do have the counter as well. They are at 10 Dawn, so I do need to be aware of the 10 drop Dofi play and having my characters frozen, and that's why I don't want to let the Hina go. If I did, I would only have 2 swings. Now I have 3 swings. I'm debating on what order and what numbers I want to swing here for. I'm just going to swing big, 9,000 with Hina into the Basil Hawkins. I could probably go for life and pressure them a little bit more, but I might as well play it safe and get that Basil Hawkins off the board. Now I'm going to swing 7,000 with Absalom. I'm debating on whether or not I should swing with the Borsellino. I think I'm just going to play out the Absalom here, not to use his ability, but just to have a character not rested so that they can't swing into it and they can't use the Dofi ability on it. If they have another 10 cost Dofi, they might not. They're in a really weird position. A Cody Jones would probably be decent here, but they're going to have to clear my board somehow. 7,000 with Leader into Absalom. I am going to just take this. I want to save my counter for when they probably swing into my Gecko, which they do right here. Luckily, I do have 2 2Ks in hand, which is absolutely great. They've got 4 Dawn to work with, and they are going to play out the Rouge, which is solid for them. They will be able to use Leader ability now. I'm debating on what I should be doing here. I'm going to start with a big swing from Gecko into lead. I'm just going to go for lethal. They only got 1 blocker. I can't imagine that they will be able to get out of every one of these swings. I'm just kind of poking them and prodding them a little bit. I probably could have went with 7 first, but I don't think it matters too much in the end. They are going to have the counter to get out of that 7 cost swing. Now it's time for another 7 cost swing, and this will tell me if they have the counter, they have the counter, but if they don't, if they use the blocker, they don't have the counter. And now it's time for a 9,000 swing with Borsellino. That's GG's. I feel like they started off on the wrong foot by going for that Sindri, but that's just their vibe. Now we got a game against Green, Blue, Zoro Sanji, aka Zanji, aka Zoro. That was dumb. I'm going first. I do not have a turn 1 play. I do have 2 Absaloms in my hand, which is absolutely great. My turn 2, 3 Dawn to work with. I am about to turn up the heat already. I am going to use Leader ability to trash an Absalom and then play out an Absalom to get rid of that Sanji card. They are trying to keep smaller characters on board so that they can use Leader ability. Also, this deck plays a lot of cards that have when attacking effects that boost their characters up, and so I am stoked to get that off the board so early and develop a body at the same time. Now they're going to play the 1 cost Zoro from OP07 and the 3 cost Buffalo from OP05. You don't see that card played very often. They're going to swing 5 at me, and I decide to counter out of it with Brand New. Going to counter out of the small ones when I can, and I'll also be able to bring back that Brand New with Gecko if I want to. 5 Dawn for me to work with. I do have a Perona in my hand, which I wouldn't mind playing. I also have another Absalom, which wouldn't be a bad play either to get rid of their 1 cost Zoro. Just really emphasizing that I'm not going to let them keep any characters on board. And here we go, Leader ability. Going to trash the Absalom. play the Absalom right back out, use his ability, bottom deck Gecko and Rebecca. I feel so in control of this game, I don't even care that I just bottom decked 2 great cards. And they just rage quit. I was on a roll, and I was not to be stopped. GG's. I know that wasn't a full one, but I just had to throw that in there. Alright, those are our games for today. What did you think about them? I am loving this leader. I know I said in last video that Dofi might be my new leader, but this might be my new leader. This deck is seriously so much fun. The biggest difference between this deck and Dofi is just the 8-cost Moria. Blue does not have a card that is as strong as the 8-cost Moria, so that's where I really feel the difference. What did you think about today's games? Did you see any misplays? Did you see any good plays? I would love to hear your feedback below. If you want to win the custom Boa Leader card, all you gotta do is leave a like and a comment. If you made it this far, you're an absolute beast, and I respect that. You're a real one. And I think that's all I got to say today. Alright, I'm out. Peace. Do not make me sleep in the shed.